How's it going, everybody? I'm Brandon with Electrical Specialist, and welcome to today's episode of Ask Your Local Electrician. We're going to be talking about a series lately about electrical maintenance in your home and what you need to know. People ask us a lot, like, what is the biggest cause of electrical failure in a home? We get some guesses out there. No, it's not improper installation. It's cheap or faulty parts. It's not that. Storms, we get a lot of them here. Mice chewing on wires. No, it's none of that. It's lack of regular maintenance. Can you believe that? So your electrical system, contrary to popular belief, is very similar to other systems in your home, such as your HVAC system, most people understand that that needs regular maintenance. It has a motor, it moves, it has moving parts, it keeps you comfortable, is why a lot of people put a little more, dedication into that. But as you can imagine, electricity flows in your home. It actually moves. Everything in your home moves. It may not have a motor in it, but it has something maybe more important. It has polarities. Electrons are constantly moving to different parts of your home where it's needed. So parts are always being used. You're always plugging in and out stuff. You're always turning on and off switches. Lights are going on and off. Your breakers are constantly sensing stuff, GFCIs. There's moving parts in all of the systems in your house. So no different than HVAC, your electrical system also needs regular maintenance to maintain proper control. So unfortunately, most people kind of, the house is built, the electrical system's put on it. It goes, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Even though you walk through and see plugs every day, you use plugs every day and use light switches, you just kind of expect them to last forever. And unless you want a cool new look, you don't worry about the actual maintenance. So that's something we like to try to educate people on and get changed. That way they last a lot longer, they're more efficient, they're better for you, your budget, and your home. So one way we can look at it is, if you didn't take your car in for maintenance for 20, 30 years and did nothing besides, let's just say, change the oil, you can imagine if you brought it in, the kind of results you're going to get from a mechanic and the funny looks you're going to get. There's going to be all kinds of stuff wrong. All kinds of things are going to need replaced, but you would expect that. Now, we do this with electrical systems and people are kind of shocked. Well, you haven't done any maintenance. A lot of work needs done. If you do a lot of maintenance, minimal work needs done. It's just, that straightforward, but it's something that we just want to get across because it's not common knowledge and it needs to be. So what we're going to do in this series is kind of a guide to electrical residential maintenance. So we're going to start with the low-hanging fruit, which is devices. Now, everybody sees devices in their houses. Obviously, you have plugs along the bottom of your wall. So we're going to talk about that first because it's the low-hanging fruit. It's the most common. So the easiest thing we could talk about is, of course, when we have receptacles, we look at it and we see there's 3 holes. Well, on your older devices, there's only 2. So if we see there's only 2, what's that tell us? If we go into a house, heck, I can tell you by driving down the street whether a house has 2 or 3 prong plugs originally by the date of it. It tells us your house is probably 60 years old or older, usually a little older. It tells us it probably has cloth wiring, if not now in tube. It probably has maybe even fused not regular turn on and off breakers, but fused circuits, the old screw-in fuses. It could tell us a lot about the home, but what we know for sure is it doesn't have a ground. Those 2-prong plugs don't even have a place to land the ground. So when you see your 3-prong devices, even your vacuum cleaner has a ground prong on it, we know that's meant to be landed on the prong that's for the ground. You don't have one. So not to worry, there are solutions for that. Some of them are, you could actually run a new ground to every plug in your house. That's a pretty difficult task, but it can be done and it is legal. You could rewire the whole house or just parts of it that mean more to you or matter to you, like bedrooms or bathrooms or whatnot. Or you could go the route of GFCI protection, whether it's in the wall or in your panel with a breaker. It is acceptable as a reference to ground. So you can put that in there and be as safe as you can be without having a ground. That is code compliance and accepted. Something else we see a lot on maintenance that isn't done is a lot of times when houses are built, they have backstabbed outlets. Now they still sell, even brand new ones have holes in the back to plug your wires into, but we know from experience that there's little springs in here, and when you shove the wire in, it just starts wanting to pull out. And over years of the house moving and shifting, doors slamming, that wire gets hot and cold, and it expands and it shrinks. It works its way out. I would say 75% of the calls we get where they say, Brandon, my plugs aren't working. I got a couple plugs on this wall of light and 2 plugs in that room. You know, what's wrong? And we come and look, a wire, it's a backstabbed outlet or a switch, and the wire has started working its way out. Don't worry if you have these. There are some easy solutions. If you're rather handy and you feel comfortable knowing how to shut the power off, you can either cut, or there's actually a little disengage slot in there. You could stick a little screwdriver, pop those wires out, put them clockwise around your screws, and voila, you've got it fixed. They will never come undone around those screws. However, I will tell you, make sure to put them the way the screw turns. As you can imagine, if you hook it the opposite way and start turning it, it's actually undoing the hook. So you want to make sure that you wrap it around it the same way the screw turns. That's a big one people miss. So there's an easy way to maintenance and update, or just replace your devices. Next, we'll talk about a very common one in older homes, even if you have a 3-prong plug, loose devices. Now, this doesn't take much explanation, but I think we all have some plugs in our house that we use a lot. Say the ones we use to plug in the vacuum, or the ones by our bed that we're constantly unplugging and plugging our phone chargers, a lamp on the countertop. We've got our, you know, maybe you're unplugging a coffee pot and putting in a blender on a regular basis, or a microwave. Eventually, it's going to wear out. It's just metal tongs in there that squeeze together. Eventually, by just unplugging or just even leaving it plugged in, they start to wear out, and of course it sags. And you can see naturally by the sag, it's just not going to go and stay in there very well. So we do our best to kind of jimmy it a little bit and get it to stay a little, but we should know that that's a bad connection. And like any bad connection, it draws heat. And when it draws heat, the electricity actually has to jump, creating an arc. That's how fires start. We just don't want that. Just replace that plug. It's not that difficult. You can have someone do it for you or do it yourself. Either way, there's some easy solutions for these guys. Now, for GFCIs or USB plugs, anything with more parts to it, a dimmer switch, those are going to wear out faster. Just be aware of that. Don't be shocked if one of these guys only lasts 2 months, 2 years. The longer they exist, the worse condition they're in, they wear out a lot faster because there's more moving parts. It's that simple. So just know any of this stuff is going to wear out a little faster. That's it for what we have on devices today. Thank you for hanging out with us, guys. If you have any more questions, feel free to go to our YouTube page or go to our website at www.especialist.pro to find anything you need.